Hello and welcome to another Spring into Java. I am your host, Glabe. So in this video we are going to be handling JSONs. We're going to be expanding our get open library API method so that we can take in a key and a value rather than just the ISBN number. This is so that we can follow through with some of the internal links that the Open Library has provided, such as gathering different information about the author as well as the book details, not just the ISBN number. So, if you are ready to dive on in and get your hands dirty with some JSON, let's hope you got that full cup of coffee, and we'll dive on in. So, to start out, we're first going to hop into our pom.xml. We're going to add in a new dependency so that we can work with some simple JSON. So this comes from the com.googlecode.json-simple. The version that we're looking for is just 111. Once that is implemented, we're going to go ahead and refresh our Maven project. Jump back over to the HTTP service. We're going to take out this ISBN, and in here we're going to slip in a string for the API path that we're looking to go to, as well as we'll take in a string value for the key that we're looking to go to. So in here, we're now taking in this as a string value and this as a string value. So we can pass in the key and the API first and then the key. Next, we got to go down and correct a couple of things. So again, we're going to be taking in the key and the API as we pass along. We're going to take that one more time down here to this get, drop it in here, and we'll drop that in as well. So that about looks good. We have one issue, which is over here in our response body. So in here, we're just going to simply add in that we want this to come from the ISBN, API, and it's going to be the ISBN.toString just to make it simple. So there, we have some issues cleaned up. Now we can go to our book service. And in here, we are going to create a way to parse the JSON string that we have passed in. We're going to use the simple JSON to dump the information or scrape the information that we need for our book DTO. So in here, we're going to go ahead and make a public book DTO, and this is just going to simply be parse book data object. And in here, we're just going to take in a string, which will be the JSON data. So we'll just call that data for now. And just so we make sure we have correct data, what we know, we're going to go ahead and simply print out the data that comes through. We're going to create a book DTO. And we'll just simply call this DTO. And this is going to be equal to a new book DTO. That is a book, not a boot. All right. So, and we're also calling that a DTO, not strength. And we're just going to jump down a couple of lines here to return DTO. All right, so now what do we do with JSON data that we're taking in? This is going to be inside of a try-catch because there is a variable that can be thrown during the parsing. This is known as a parsing exception. So we will surround this with a try-catch. And again, this is a parse exception that we are taking in from the simple parser. And we'll just call this E for exception. Come down here, and we're just going to simply throw new runtime exception, and we're just going to pass in the exception. All right, so first thing we're going to need to do is create an object. This will just be called an object, and it is going to be equal to a new JSON parser, and we're just going to simply parse the data. So this here will allow us to get some of our initial book details. So this will parse the initial data for our book. So we now need to have a JSON object. So a JSON object. This will be our JSON object or our initial book data. So we'll just call this actually book data. And this will be equal to that of a JSON object. You guessed it, the object that we just created up top. So in our book DTO, we need a way to grab the title, and we'll set the description as the subtitle. So we're going to go with dto.setTitle, and this will be, of course, the book data.get, and we're looking for the key that we're looking to get out of our book out of our open API, open library API, which is known as title. So we do title, and we'll pass that off as a toString. Next, we're going to do the same thing, but we are going to take in the subtitle as our description. So this will be the subtitle, and that is going to be our set description. Next, we are going to need to parse some of the publisher data. This will be done so in a JSON array. So to get the publisher data, so we'll just parse publisher. Because this comes in an array in that JSON from the open library, we want to, again, make another object. And we'll call this one publisher data. And this will be equal to, yet again, another JSON parser. A new JSON parser dot parse the string. Now the string that we're looking to parse here is going to be the book data dot get. This will be publishers, if I can type that correctly. Publishers dot toString. And now we are going to make a JSON array that will be equal. We're just going to call this one what? Publisher or publish array. publisher array, and that will be equal to a JSON array object. Apparently I spelled that wrong over here. And this is going to be taken in the publisher data. All right, so we can now set our DTO set publisher to the publisher array. Publisher array dot get, and this is just going to be the index 0. And again, we'll just cop that off to string. Next, we want to get some information about the author. Or technically, we'll grab the ISBN 313 number, which, again, we are basically going to be doing the exact same thing as this. So we'll just copy that, paste it down here. This is going to be parsing the ISBN 13. So we will just go ahead and call this just that. So publisher here, publisher here, publisher here, publisher here, and that's all now ISBN 13 data. Now this is going to be the ISBN underscore 13. And after this, we're going to look to now parse some of the author data. Now, this is where we are going to be making another get call, because the information that we get here is just simply from authors / and the ID of the author in the open library API. So let's go ahead and parse the author. So first thing we're going to do here is the same thing as we've done up above. We are going to create an object. This will be the author object or author data. And this one here is going to be again equal to a new JSON parser dot parse. But now what are we parsing here? This part here is going to be the book data dot get and authors dot toString. All right, so next thing we need to do is make this into a JSON array. So JSON array author array equals a JSON array of the author data. So next, we now need to create another object. And this one is going to be author JSON. This one's going to be the author array, or just the author. I guess we'll call it author object for now. And this is now equal to a new JSON parser. And this time we're going to parse through the authors array dot get 0 dot toString. And now we make a new JSON object, which is the author's JSON. And this will be equal to a new JSON object that is the
author object. So now we have that. We need to simply we need to split this now. So, because this is going to come in with slash authors slash some indicator, we need to parse this into some author data. So this is going to be a string array of author author's data. And this will be equal to the author JSON dot get, and this is the key, and we're then going to be splitting this, making it off to string first, and then we're going to split it. Where are we splitting this? We're splitting this right at the slash, and that is supposed to be, there we are. So next, we are going to now have a variable for a string. This is going to be the author's name, and it's going to be equal to fetch author. And in here, we are going to be passing in the author's data 1 and author data 2. Now, the reason we're doing 1 and 2 and not 0 and 1 is because this will come back with a slash AUT author slash whatever the hell number it is. And since we're parsing this and splitting this at the slash, the very first index is actually going to be an empty string. So that is why we are parsing this as 1 and 2. So let's come down beneath here and let's make this a private string fetch author. And this is going to take in a string of API as well as a string of the key, because we are going to be, get this straight, because we are going to be basically doing the same thing as we did here, let's just go ahead and copy this and drop it in here, because this is also going to need our HTTP service. Here we go. We're now going to come down and simply pass in here the API and the key. So this will go into our author and this, but this will now, because we have changed up our original code in here, this will allow us to simply follow some links and get the appropriate response that we are looking for. So once again, in here, we are going to drop in another try catch because we are trying to parse data, and so we want to be able to parse the correct data. So in here, we're going to go with another object, call it object for now, and this is going to be equal to a new JSON parser, and we're going to parse in the response. Now, the only thing that we really care about out of this response is simply the name of the author. This will go in and take in all of the, it'll print out all of the different works and information about the author, the different books that they've done, and yada, yada, yada. But the only thing that we are interested in this particular case is strictly the name. So, another JSON object, and we'll just simply call this JSON object. This will be equal to, of course, the JSON object of object, and now we're going to return the value that is the JSON object dot get name. And again, string that. There we are. Now let's add in our catch clause so that there we are. Now we're going to be doing the very same thing again for the published date. So we're actually just going to quickly copy and paste this. And this is going to be pub published date. And this is just simply going to be used to parse in the published date, which will be the year that the book was published. There we are. So up here under the author, we will continue to now set our author. So the DTO dot set author. There we are. Now we will parse through the book details to get the publisher. So again, this is going to parse book details. If I can spell that right. All right. So in here, we are yet again going to make another book data split. So this will be a string array of book detail data. We'll call it data details. It's just too long. And that is going to be equal to the book data, what did we call that? Our initial thing was book data dot, well, okay, I can't call this book data. So this will be book details. All right, so we got that straightened away. We're not calling this book data dot get key, because the initial key in this one is going to be for the book's details. So we'll do that, and we'll slap a toString on that baby so that we can split it. And we're splitting it in this same spot. So next, we are then going to have a string of published. I can play price. Published date. And we're going to say fetch the published date. And we are going to be passing in the same details as before, the 1 and 2, not 0 and 1. So this is going to be book details 1 and book details 2. And after we have that, we can go ahead into our DTO and set the published date as the published date. There. Whole lot of work. And then finally we can return our DTO object. So to take advantage of all of this code that we've written, let's jump into our controller, and underneath here where we get the response from the ISBN, we are now going to be adding in another sort of check. So if the response is not null, we want to make a book DTO object, and this is going to be simply new book. We want this to be equal to the book service dot parse book data, and we're going to pass in the response that we got earlier. Next, if objects non-null new book well, if the book is not null, we want to return that the book was created, and we are actually going to return new book dot toString. And we're going to come into our book DTO, and we're going to add in an annotation of toString from our Lombok. That will just simply make it easier to see what we print out. And of course, if all else fails, and we'll say that the book is null, then we want to return new response body. Something went wrong. And that will be an HTTP status of that request. So, all that's all fun and dandy. Let's run our project. And let's see what we get. We'll fire up Postman. Once that is up and gone, it's almost there. It's coming up. When it comes up, we're going to look here to go to our localhost 8080 API version 1 book, add ISBN, and we're going to pass in this book number. And when we pass this in, we should see some results down here, a little bit of action, and then we're going to see the book details that we've just scraped. So let's go ahead and hit a send. And looks like we got a little error underneath the fetch author. So HTTP service could be null. Let's have a look and see what went wrong. As luck would have it, we did not make our HTTP service final, so Spring did not bring in the service. So now that it's brought it in, let's go ahead and rerun our package, our project. And we'll try this again. I do apologize for that error, but this has all been off the cuff. So that was pretty good for only one error. All right, so once our Spring Boot application gets up and running, we will try this again, and we will send this post request to add our book to our library. So we'll go ahead and click on post. Something comes through, and we get another error. This time on getting the publish date. Looks like it is not a published date. It may just be simply publish date. I may have had that wrong. So again, we will rerun our project. We could have just rebuilt it, I suppose, and went there, but this is why we record these videos. A learning experience for everybody. So we'll let our Spring Boot application run again. And you can see the path that we tried that failed. We can click it to simply follow the link and go to it again, but we're just going to hit the send button once this is up and done. Started, let's go. This time as it runs through and clears, boom! Book DTO, title, author, theme we did not cover, the description, the publisher. The publisher, apparently we did not get the correct information for the publisher. The published date is 2014. Shelf ID has not been set. The Discord ID has not been set because we have not set that in the actual program yet because we did not write the code to accept the / command. I do see that we did forget to set the ISBN 13 after we had scraped that. Oh, sorry, no, I have setting the publisher, and that's why the publisher got reset. So let's make sure that we're setting the ISBN 13. And this here is actually going to need to be a long variable. So we're going to copy this, say long.parse, pass in the string, just build it, bring up our postman again. As soon as this rebuilds and hot swaps, there we are, rerun this. There we go. Publisher is now correct, and the ISBN 13 has been set. So, in the next video, we are going to be going ahead and now saving this new book to our, well, actually, if the new book is not null, this is actually very simple to do. We are going to go into our book service and we will just update the book DTO and we'll pass in the new book. And if we remember correctly, this here should go ahead. Oh, no, that's going to find the book. In our next video, we will write the code to save the new book DTO, map it to a book object, and save it in our repository. As well, we will also touch on Discord /commands, and we will create a /command so that we can enter in the ISBN number from Discord, have it send it to our backend, parse through the data like we just did, and have that save into the next video. So, if that sounds like something that you'd like to be interested in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Be notified when the next video comes out. If you happen to have learned something, and if you happen to like my style of teaching, please feel free to hit the like button. I am also going to be firing up another series called The Midnight Coder, where we will cover some more advanced applications and web apps, and we will be creating a video game in Discord. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, you can also subscribe to get notified when the new series comes out. I've been your host, Glabe. Thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate every one of you. Thank you very much, and good night.